401k where the company picks a 401k provider like Fidelity or Schwab or John Hancock, and they control that and they control where your money goes. You, as the individual investor, controls where the money goes. You can go to your employer and say, I want to move my money to company X. And you can set up a simple IRA somewhere else, and you can roll over all of the contributions that you have put in and all the future contributions that you put in somewhere else, and your employer must, by law, send the money where you ask them to send it. Now, there are a couple little exceptions to this, just like everything. It's got to be fucking complicated because the government's involved. You cannot roll over a simple IRA if it is less than 2 years of age. So you have to keep it where it is. Now, you could create a new simple, and the new contributions go to the new place. Not a problem. But you can't roll over the existing money until the account has been opened for 2 years. It's just this random little thing. The other thing is that the employer and the match that they give you, they reserve the right to control where that money goes. So let's say, for example, you are at Fidelity with your current employer. They set up the account for you on your behalf. You signed a form. You have an account at Fidelity. And you want it to be at Schwab, just to pick another big company. You could put all your money at Schwab. If the account's been there for 2 years, you have the right and the privilege, and by law, you can move all your money from Fidelity to Schwab. However, if in the documents the company set up the simple plan with, the simple IRA, if it still requires them to send money to Fidelity, you get this weird situation where your contributions could go to Schwab, where the company's contributions go to Fidelity. Whatever. That's just the way it is. And it may not be worth you switching if you don't want to have two different accounts. And if you're at Fidelity or Schwab, you might have some really good options at where you could do it. However, you could set up your own simple IRA at a low-cost index fund provider company. Let me just pick a name out of the hat, Vanguard. Or if you want, I could help you with something like that if you don't want to do it on your own. And you set up the account, and you can dramatically increase the options that you have, and you can dramatically reduce the expenses and the turnover that you have in that account and get far better results. So that's some basics with a simple IRA. It's created by your employer. It is partially controlled by them, at least for the money they put in, but the money you put in can be virtually anywhere. And once you've had a simple for 2 years, even if you still work for the company, you have the legal right to roll it over into a simple somewhere else. So if you have a simple that has a lot of money and you've been working for someone for 5, 10, 15 years, and it's not performing well, you may move it. You have that right under law. So just keep that in mind. And at some point, if you're no longer working with that company, you can, and this is a weird trick with English, you can roll over the simple into a traditional IRA. And then, of course, all the IRA rules follow with this, that you generally can't take the money out before the age of 59 and a half. And if you do, there's a 10% penalty. But, of course, if you are under 59 and a half, there are exceptions for how you can take the money out. So if you are in your early 50s, mid 50s, and you're thinking about retirement, but the thing that is preventing you is that the vast majority of your assets are in an IRA, and you don't know how to get the money out without penalty, send me an email, Phil@Polaris Financial Planning, and I can help you work a plan so that you can get that out. And so that's some basics on a simple IRA and how you get one and what you can do with it. And I will take a little break here, and we'll go into our interview. We are going to have an interview with Nicole Niebler. She is a student at the University of Wisconsin in Madison, and she is involved with the SSA there, the Secular Student Alliance. And amazingly, they have been able to get huge amounts of money from the university to do secular projects. And you're going to want to hear all about what they do. And if you're in a Secular Student Alliance, maybe you can get some great ideas at what your group can do. If you're not in a Secular Student Alliance, but you're in a high school or a college, We're going to also have information about how you can start one. And so listen to all that. I hope you enjoy, and I'll see you on the other side of the interview.
Here's an excerpt from Nailed by David Fitzgerald.
Didn't there have to have been a Jesus? Perhaps he was just a wandering teacher or an exorcist, an apocalyptic prophet or a zealot who opposed the Romans. Perhaps he was all these things, or even a composite of several such early first-century figures. But at any rate, surely there had to be somebody at the original core of Christianity, arguably the most famous individual in human history. All this seems to be a perfectly reasonable, completely natural assumption to make, so why would anyone be so foolish as to propose that Jesus never existed? Doesn't it just make more sense to assume that there was a historical Jesus, even if we're unable to recover the real facts about his life and death? As it turns out, no. The opposite is true. The closer we look at the evidence for Jesus, the less solid evidence we find, and the more we find suspicious silences and curious resemblances to the pagan and Jewish religious ideas and philosophies that preceded Christianity. And once you begin to parse out the origins of this tradition or that teaching from their various sources, the sweater begins unraveling quickly until it becomes very difficult to buy that there ever was, or even could have been, any historical figure at the center.
Nailed by David Fitzgerald is now available at atheistaudiobooks.com.
Only on Secular Media Network.
This is Phil Ferguson with Polaris Financial Planning, the home of science-based investing. I see people owning really bad investments all of the time. Many advisors are paid a commission by a big company to sell you something you may not need. It's kind of like church. They create fear, then they tell you what you want to hear, and then they take your money. What you want is an advisor that is paid only by you. That is a fee-only fiduciary advisor. Remember, people work for who they are paid by. You can contact me, Phil, at PolarisFinancialPlanning.com, or listen to the cleverly titled The Phil Ferguson Show. Each show, we have an interesting investing skeptically topic and an interview with someone fighting to end religion. Polaris also gives 10% of gross revenue to support the growing secular movement. You're not just getting better investments, you're helping to change the world. All right, everybody, welcome back. Of course, this is Phil Ferguson, and you are still listening to The Phil Ferguson Show. Today, I have with me Nicole Niebler. How are you, Nicole?
Great. How are you?
I am fantastic. Now, I understand you are involved with the SSA-Secular Student Alliance.
I am, that's correct.
Yeah, what is your involvement? Were you in a local college group?
Yeah, so I'm currently the president of Atheists, Humanists, and Agnostics at the University of Wisconsin-Madison, and we are affiliated with the Secular Student Alliance.
Excellent. Are you guys having a Free Thought Festival next spring?
We are, yes. Every spring we put on a Free Thought Festival. This year will be our 6th, and we just bring in popular secular speakers from around the country and show them off to our students and try to educate people about faith, non-belief, all the above.
Now, it's kind of weird. I don't know if the listeners will pick this up, but I'll just admit it. I didn't know where you are, where you live, that you're in Madison, but that's hysterical for me. So do you know what the date is next year?
For Free Thought Festival 6?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, not quite yet.
That's okay. It's like 9 months away before it's full term. So you may not know, I've been to that event 2 or 3 times.
Excellent.
I also spoke at the event a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
And do you know Chris Calvi?
I do, yeah. We actually just hung out yesterday.
Well, tell him that Phil Ferguson said hello.
Will do.
I met him almost 10 years ago.
Wow, that's awesome. Yeah, Chris has been around for a while. He definitely helped surge our group to success.
Absolutely. Good friend of mine and a longtime supporter of things in the movement. So what else is your group doing on campus?
All right. Well, so right now it's summer, so it's a little bit of a lack of students.
Right.
But we are planning a lot of kickoff events for the upcoming semester in the fall. So we're planning some bonfires and grill outs and some interfaith events. So that's when we work with other religious groups on campus and just try to promote, the discussion between religious people and non-religious people. It really shows that our groups can collaborate and work together, even though we have some core differences.
Sure.
So we're just planning a lot of kickoff events for September.
Have you done these interfaith events before?
We have, yeah. We
have they
actually
gone?
run a program called the Faith and Reason Forum,
Okay.
which we get together biweekly with Badger Catholic, which is the Catholic student organization on campus. And we discuss different articles that are centered around a common idea. So, morality with or without a God, is it possible?
Now, I want to back up a second. Did you say Badger Catholic?
Yes, Badger Catholic.
And for my listeners,
Madison Badgers.
Yeah, there you go. That's what I was going to say. Why Badgers? That's your team mascot.
Yep, yeah, it is.
And is this the Catholic organization, the student group that got real money from the university?
Yes, yep. We are actually one of those student groups as well.
I understand.
We get money the same way that Badger
Sure.
Catholic gets money.
And before we spoil that completely, how much did the Catholics get, and what was it for?
Did Badger Catholic or
Yeah.
did we get?
No, Badger Catholic. Let's start with that.
In the past, they've gotten close to the maximum amount. I don't know what they've gotten this past fiscal year.
Sure.
But I know it was close to $90,000.
So we're talking real money.
Yeah.
So a group of students, apparently a student-run group, somehow figured out how to get up to $90,000 from the University of Wisconsin-Madison in a year.
Yeah. Yep.
And
we have a program that's called the General Student Services Fund, so GSSF for short.
Yeah.
And they provide budgets for students via segregated fees that groups can apply for and get granted if they demonstrate that they are providing services to students on campus.
Now, I don't know how that works in other states, but currently in the state of Illinois, we can't pay our own fucking bills, so the students don't get shit like that.
Yeah.
But they were getting $90,000, and what did they do with it?
So a lot of that was going towards, they had two, paid non-university staff members, which were just like pastors and faith counselors. Some students also got paid. They get money to bring in other speakers. They get, money for their library, to host other events, to do training for their officers. A lot of pretty standard stuff for a student group.
Right. And, of course, one could interpret that as state money going to a religious organization for the purpose of promoting the religion. Would that be fair?
No, not necessarily. So where the money comes from is the student segregated fees. So it comes straight from students' tuition. It's not paid for by taxes or the state or anything. It's students paying for it when they go to the university.
And who decides? Do the students vote if the Catholics get the money?
Yes. So there are actually 14 groups that are, currently eligible for this money. And currently it's called the SSFC, the Student Segregated Funds Committee, and they decide where our student segregated fees are allocated. So whether that's for specific student organizations or if it's for renovating the union on campus or if it's for different construction needs, building a new, activity center, that sort of thing. That's what they decide. And because they are viewpoint neutral, that's how Atheists, Humanists, and Agnostics at UW-Madison was able to get in on this kind of pot of money.
Right. So somewhere along the way, the secular students found out there was this money available, and you guys petitioned, and have you received money now?
Yes, we have. Yep. This will be